Jacob looked at his phone, thought about something for a few seconds, and then put it away in his backpack. His nose was in the high school English test bank. Jacob and his batchmates were taking university-level English courses, but Jacob was doing high school English questions. Due to the small size of this course, Jacob shared this class with only one of his roommates, and the other two weren't taking this class at all. The schedule for their sophomore year was always packed, and the library was always crammed with students who always had their noses in their books. After spending another hour on the test bank, Jacob shoved the book in his backpack, checked for his cell phone and wallet, and left the classroom. He had to reach Sophie's house by 5 o'clock in the evening. Jacob was even more anxious than the other day when he was picked up by the shiny black limousine, which ended up with him spending an entire day with the Dragon King and his family. He arrived at their house and rang the doorbell. It was Helen who opened the door. She was wearing an apron and her hair was tied up in a bun. Her hands were wet and the water dripped onto the foyer floor. She was obviously busy in the kitchen. "So early?" She let Jacob in and smiled. "Sophie isn't back from school yet?" Jacob entered and asked. He was a bit embarrassed about being early. He lacked the experience of being a tutor as it was his first time, but then again he was also inexperienced in being a son-in-law, so no matter what he did, he would always be conscious or embarrassed. "No, her Uncle Kenneth, my husband's third youngest brother, is picking her up because her dad is working late today," she answered, as if Jacob was already a member of the family. "Take a seat on the couch and watch some TV if you'd like. Make yourself at home." Jacob opened his backpack and put the study material for Sophie on the coffee table, and after thinking something for a few seconds, he turned to Helen and said, "Why don't I give you a hand in the kitchen?" "Okay, sure." Helen looked at Jacob with a surprised look on her face and then smiled. "Come along, then." Jacob rolled up his sleeves and went into the kitchen with her. He couldn't let her slave away in the kitchen while he chilled in front of the TV. Jacob entered the kitchen and found that all the ingredients and condiments were neatly stacked up. It meant that Helen was just getting started on dinner and hadn't actually begun cooking yet. Jacob did feel he had come too early, but at least now Helen wouldn't have to do it all by herself. Jacob could tell from the ingredients the kind of dishes she was going to make. He walked over quickly and started rinsing the vegetables and cutting up the meat without any instructions. He looked like an experienced chef in a restaurant the way he went about doing everything in the kitchen. "Jacob, you always help out at home, don't you?" Helen began prepping the chicken for the roast as she spoke. Not really. Sometimes I give my grandma a hand," said Jacob. "I could tell that you are a sensible kid." "If only my Soph had half your sensibility," Helen sighed. "She's still young. I only cared about games and gossip when I was her age as well," Jacob answered without even thinking. "Have your parents always been away?" Helen continued. Jacob answered honestly. "They are both always on the move and always busy, and I have spent most of my time with my grandma since I was a boy." Helen pondered. "Your grandma must be very lonely now that you spend most of the time at the university, right?" "I usually go to see her on the weekends." Jacob looked up at Helen at this point and felt that there was something going on in her mind. Before he could draw any conclusions, Helen spoke up and said, "Once you and Sophie are settled, I can invite your grandma here to live with us." "That may be a bit too soon." Jacob smiled as he felt his cheeks go red. "She doesn't know about Sophie yet." "She will find out soon enough. I know how much she would be looking forward to you getting married or bringing your girlfriend home to introduce her. Us grown-ups have only one intent once our kids grow up. That's how I know how she must be feeling." "Take your time, Jacob, but do tell her," said Helen. Jacob was about to say something, but he just nodded and began chopping the potato into thin strips. She knows exactly how Granny feels, Jacob thought. But this is all happening so fast. Jacob kept working quietly for a while when he remembered that he had a lot of questions for Helen. He thought this was the right time to learn a little about the Dragon Clan since no one was around. Plus, he was really comfortable with Helen. She reminded him of his own mother. "Could you tell me what role an inspector plays in the Dragon Clan?" Jacob asked in a straightforward voice. "Oh, you met an inspector?" Helen was a bit surprised. "A professor in my university. Her name is Susan," Jacob said. "Oh, her," Helen said in a matter-of-factly tone. "You know her?" Jacob was curious. "Inspectors are not a group of people who are easy to get along with, but Susan knows our family well, so she shouldn't cause you too much problem," Helen replied. Jacob thought to himself, "Inspectors? So there are more than one. Helen seems to respect them, too." Helen saw the curious look on Jacob's face and continued. "The inspectors are a group of authorized figures of the Dragon Clan who are in charge of supervising the internal events of the clan. They have the right to handle the matter themselves before reporting them to the higher authorities, as long as they have evidence of the crime." "Wow, they seem pretty dangerous, like the king's knights when there were emperors ruling different countries," said Jacob. "Don't underestimate them. Many of them are above the heavenly level in the clan. Elder Liam is already a master of the North Atlantic Dragon region, but even 2 Elder Liams wouldn't even be able to defeat Susan," Helen went on. Jacob didn't have a definite concept of a dragon's power, and neither did he know what their battles would be like. But Susan's power would probably be a lot stronger than he could ever imagine. Jacob had made up his mind about Susan being a dangerous person and that he should never be near her again. "How did she know about my identity?" asked Jacob. "The fact is that we all have our auras. You are at a very low level to sense your aura, let alone sense someone else's aura. But Susan Suhan is an extraordinary inspector of the Dragon Clan. She can certainly see through you because she can read auras," Helen explained patiently. "Can't I hide my aura?" Jacob asked immediately. "You can, but if the person is much stronger than you, they can still see it," Helen said as if she knew exactly what was on Jacob's mind. She continued, "But don't worry, we are not allowed to kill each other within the Dragon Clan. Susan won't hurt you as long as she recognizes your legal identity. She would even protect you. Plus, you are now a part of the North Atlantic Dragon Clan, and we won't let you get hurt that easily." Helen suddenly straightened her back and added confidently. Jacob was touched with the way Helen spoke to him. She had completely accepted him as her son-in-law. After all, why else would she welcome him to her home or promise to stand up for him if he was in danger? North Atlantic Dragon Clan. Sounds like it's really powerful. Susan surely must have some respect for them despite her authoritative role. "Does Sophie's dad hold a high status in the Dragon Clan?" Jacob asked the question that had always been bothering him. He thought it was a good opportunity to ask. "He's all right. He's the king of the North Atlantic," Helen said lightly. "Drakon, the Dragon King of the North Atlantic, to be precise," she added as she put the chicken to roast.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.